Welcome back. As we come to President Obama's final year in office, it appears his campaign pledge to bring change has not worked out the way the administration may have hoped. Now, according to a new CNN ORC poll, there's 37% say Mr. Obama, President Obama, has brought positive change, but the same number says the president brought change for the worse. And 21% say none at all. Now, when it comes to the way the nation is governed, 3/4 are dissatisfied, according to this poll, while just a quarter say they are satisfied. And 69% are very or somewhat angry with the way things are going in the country. Now, Senator, we know people get very cranky, with pollsters, right? Yeah. They don't like the way things are going. We get that. And there's reason to feel that way. But, what does this mean for President Obama's legacy?
Well, that's the question du jour, because I think he will go down as one of the most divisive presidents in the history of our country. He's had opportunities to unite this country, but he always seems to be taking sides. And while that's not inappropriate, the sides he's been taking, I think, are wrong. Putting American interests first should always be the paramount. And it's not just black Americans, it's not just white Americans, it's all Americans. And there's been opportunities where he could have actually united this country behind him, and I think he's missed that opportunity.
Jedediah, are you seeing the polls showing a trend toward this kind of sentiment that we just reported from this poll, that while the president was hoping to have a really positive legacy, bailing out the auto companies, fixing the U.S. economy with a lot of taxpayer money and Federal Reserve help, do you think you see a trend besides this poll in other polls?
I do, and I actually recently wrote about a poll in Gallup where it shows that people distrust big government more than big business, more than other areas. They really have a deep distrust of big government. So that to me means that this is a great time for limited government advocates to come out and say, see all this stuff that he did that you don't like and that you're not happy with? My plan is the opposite. I have a different approach. I want to empower individuals. I don't want government dictating your health care and raising your taxes. And I want to do the opposite. And here's an opportunity for limited government folks to shine.
Here's the thing, Melissa. Another Rasmussen poll says, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are neck and neck, right? But Donald Trump has more independents, 36% to Hillary's 25%. He did campaign as the reform candidate. Yeah. But what does this mean for Hillary? Should she be campaigning so tightly knitted to Obama's legacy?
I don't know. See, I actually think that his legacy is going to be a lot more positive than you guys think. I mean, I think two things will end up standing out. Number one, he is the first African-American president, and he will always have that, and you can't take that away from him, and you shouldn't. I mean, it is really something remarkable and something to be proud of. I think a big part of his legacy is going to be Obamacare. I mean, as it becomes one of those overwhelming, entitlements in this country and starts to really drag on the government's budget, on spending everywhere, I think it's going to be one of those things like every other entitlement in this country that you can never take away.
Here's the thing, Kat. Yeah, we're talking a lot about domestic policy, but you've been covering this too. And the thing is, in 2013, the president gave a speech saying all wars, including wars on terrorism, must end. But now we have the Mideast in flames and a refugee crisis. So that's part of his legacy too, right? What's going on overseas.
I think that's why he's trying to do as little as possible. If you look at his speeches, he seems a little concerned about his legacy because most of them are focused on how awesome he is and how great the things are that he's doing. And he's kind of probably hoping that a lot of people will just be taking his word for it rather than looking at what he's actually doing or not doing. Because if you were to listen to him talk about himself, you'd think he was totally crushing it. And I think a lot of people don't, right?
Here's the thing. And Senator,
I love the way you say things.
A lot of,
oh, thank you.
Well, his successes can be in some ways seen as provisional, right? The triumphs, whether it's Iran deal, that could fall apart. Iran could renege on it. Cuba could not become the successful democracy we expect. And Obamacare could be unwound by a Republican president.
Yeah, one step forward, 3 steps back. Once again, you have the Iran deal. It's going to be, I think, the worst deal in the history of our country, ultimately, because we're dealing with terrorists, allowing them to export terrorism around the region and the world, continuing with nuclear development. You have the wars that we've talked about. We have a situation right now. I think the biggest failure is going to be in foreign policy, where our allies don't trust us, our foes don't fear or respect us. He drew that line and didn't do anything. In Iraq, he didn't leave a transitional force there, and as a result, we have a lot of what you're seeing now.